Hi, my name is Junaid Mahmood Khan, and in this video I will be talking about the week 1 reflection of English Junior Primary. One thing that I found very important was that activity when we were just writing a story about Greek creature. It was very funny and engaging as well. So if we are in school and teaching English, make sure that we pick up some kind of topic which can be related to the kids as well. So children and students can relate it to their own environment. For example, in the Red Creek school, we can choose that creek, or maybe in the schools where there is no creek, there's some gardens and rivers, some hills, whatever it is, we can choose just that topic and bring out their own creativity and thinking, so they can imagine it and they can write whatever they want. So I like that activity very much. While doing that activity, I grasped few things. One of them was when Professor Jenny Carter using that white sheet of paper for writing the story. I like that thing because the font size was big enough so everybody can see it from a distance as well. The handwriting was clean and very clear, so we don't need to just ask whatever it is written over there. So we make sure when we are doing the same thing, we need to be very much cautious about our handwriting. We need to make sure the text size, the font size is big enough so it can be seen from the last corner of the classroom as well. Another thing that I liked the most about this workshop was the multimodal representation of our text. While we were writing a story about the Greek creature, we also put up some good pictures taken by us, or personally me. I draw them on the little booklet that was cute though. But that's what we learned in the readings as well. When the kid from US and the kid from Indonesia were talking about their birthday parties or maybe their home, they draw something on the piece of paper which they can relate through the words as well. So the multimodal nature of writing is pretty important, and because through watching these diagrams or photographs or images, we can identify the words and the spelling errors can be minimized. At the start of the workshop, we had a small discussion about the various purposes of writing in day-to-day lives, and we all had different kind of opinions about writing in daily life. Some said writing emails, some said texting messages to family and friends, some said writing assignments, and someone might say like multi-factor authentication. So there are so many things we write for in daily lives, and all of us can relate to it because we all are living the same environment, that's urban culture. But what if we ask the same question and same thing to a person who is not living in such kind of environment? He might not relate to it. In the reading, there was a boy in US. He had a great imagination about his fancy birthday party, and when he narrated all those things, so the rest of the kids couldn't connect to it. So the socio-cultural concept and socio-cultural aspect do play a crucial role while writing, and it can be seen in our writings. In week 2 workshop, from the readings, I found so many important things. One of them was the components of writing, and the first one was the writing context, where we need to talk about the purpose, the audience, the topic, and so many things like that. In the second thing, we can identify about the text form, whether it could be narrative or story. In our Greek creature, it was a story, so it was a narrative form. Thirdly, we have to talk about the processes and strategies, and there's so many things in it. First of all, it has to be like the narrating the topic about the Greek creature by drawing and capturing the pictures, writing down some small points, going down to the creek. So it was kind of generating the topic, organizing or planning the narrative. It could be like easily comprehended. It has to be easily comprehended, so we need like simple sentences for that and easy vocabulary as well. Thirdly, we need to visualize, and for that we need to add some pictures, some diagrams, some photographs as well. Lastly, we need to monitor by our own self-reading. We need to self-evaluate and find out the errors, adding some punctuation marks, finding out the grammatical errors, and so on. So this is the highlight of this workshop that we need to understand, and we learned this thing. Another important thing that we learned about this workshop was the 5 phases of writing development. It can go like beginning phase, the emergent phase, the early phase, the transitional phase, and the fluent phase. I'm not going down in the details, but yes, they all are different phases of development of writing in which we can identify the basic specifications of each kind of phase. Thirdly, if I talk about the activities went down in the workshop, it was the biggest thing for me. It was try and T1T Gongolop. Even now I can't pronounce it right now. So it was try and T1T Gongolop, and it was a pretty interesting word for me, so I can use that in my class as well, and it will definitely generate some curiosity among the students that what it is and how do we pronounce it, and I need to pronounce it first rather than before anyone else. So it's a good word, and I'm going to take that one in my practice as well. We can use this form in like so many things for high frequency words, to develop rhyme, to develop syllables, phonemes, and so on. And we also need to talk about the language choice that we learned in this workshop. The most important thing was the last activity, which was about teaching sequence, where we just need to fold down the A4 sheet in 16 different parts, and I need to write like one word on each 16 part using the nouns, adjectives, verbs, and so many things like that. And then after using these 16 words, we need to create a poem, and that has to be a group activity. So it needs collaboration, getting ideas from each other, and it was a good activity, and I'm gonna take that in my practice as well.
Hi, this is week 3 workshop reflection for English Junior Primary, and I'll be talking about how the role of teacher changes throughout the teaching learning cycle and why it is important, what's the purpose of that. Because as you can see in the shared reading task and in the shared reading phase, the teacher leads the task. He is sage on the stage, maybe you can say that. But when you shift to the joint construction part of the task or the cycle, the teacher works only as a facilitator rather than as a leader, giving more space to the students to learn and give their brainstorming into it. So it is all about how the teacher's role shifted throughout it and why it is so, because this cycle is provide the support and the scaffolding to the students, and it is all about the intensity and frequency of the scaffolding provided throughout the phases of this cycle. So it has to be kept in balance when to support and how to support.
Another key idea of this workshop was the IRE method, which was discussed in the PEDA 195 Edward Groves reading. It is all about the initiative, response, and evaluation method. It can be stretched to extension as well, where we just vacate the space, vacate the flow, give some more space to the students to bring on the constructivist approach, and asking them like open-ended question, giving them more thinking time, and might be include them in pairs or in groups so that they can collaborate with each other. Because in IRE method, the initiative would be the questions asked from the teacher. Then the answers from the students will be like the response and the positive feedbacks, and it should be stressed through extensions as well, bringing the open-end questions, which enables the brainstorming. And when you brainstorm, you just use the constructive approach as well, and giving the more space to the students so that they can bring their own thoughts in the process rather than just giving them one-word answers and so on. So it's pretty much important, and we will learn more about in the coming workshops as well. The most important thing that comes up from this workshop was the responding to the text through your own repertoires, and how that plays a crucial role in bringing your response to the text. For example, we were given a task by Professor Jenny Carter to develop some kind of teaching learning material using the photos from the book Where the Wild Things Are. I developed kind of a thing which brings my own values, my own culture, my own thought process, my own repertoires. You say that because there are different kind of repertoires, normally social, personal, cultural, and literary repertoires mentioned in the book MacDonald in the chapter 4, responding to literature. It simply talks about how you can respond to a text, and in the case of Red Creek School, it is very much important because this school has diverse kids from the diverse backgrounds. So in one class you can find the students from reception to year 2. They are coming from very humble backgrounds as well. Some of them are refugees, some of them are working in farms, and so and so. So whatever gonna happen in this task they will bring their own diverse thoughts, their own diverse repertoires, maybe social, maybe cultural, maybe personal, what they experienced before coming to this lecture, before coming to this workshop, before coming to this class, so that they're gonna put up in their responding to the text part. Through the readings and workshop of week 4, I learned more about the narratives in junior primary settings and why they are so important and how we're gonna teach them about narratives. Because in the next year there will be year 3, they will be having their NAP plans, and narratives are an important part of NAP plan in year 3. So we make sure when we are teaching them, we make them proficient enough. And before making them proficient, we need to learn about narratives by our own self as well, about the components of narrative. For example, it could be setting, plot, characters, vocabulary, literary device, the writing style, what the author wants to say in these, and the different terminologies, for example, the orientation, resolution, and maybe complication as well, rather than using the beginning, middle, and end, which is pretty much generic to many genres as well. So specifically when we are teaching narratives, we make sure we use these terms like complication, orientation, or resolution. During this workshop, we had a task of sorting the sentences in orientation, complication, and resolution, where Professor Jenny Carter put up 6 hoops, and we were given some sentences of the story, and we were asked to put them in these different hoops according to their nature, where they're gonna be in, whether they're gonna be in the orientation part or in the resolution part or maybe the complication part. It was a fun activity, and I'm pretty much sure about that. The students of Red Creek School, as per their diversity of the class from reception to year 2 in single classroom, they're gonna love this activity because it is just simple and it requires some kind of brainstorming as well. And apart from that, we are including everybody else in the classroom. It's a collaborative activity, and the students can help each other as well, that they're gonna put them in orientation maybe or in the resolution. From the reading Devianka and Jones chapter 4, I understand and I learned about that every story, every narrative has a different kind of setting. Maybe some stories has the complication first, then resolution, and maybe orientation later on, and some starts the resolution and then complication or maybe orientation. It is not necessary that every story follow the same pattern of orientation and complication and resolution. So it can vary as per the requirement, as per the story. And apart from that, there was a task in the workshop where we just asked about the different noun groups and verb groups from the story. It was a simple task, it was playful activity, but it was very much important and crucial to learn about words. And if I talk about the teaching learning cycle, it comes into the joint construction phase. So where the teacher works as a facilitator and children were giving more space to think about and play an important role in finding out these words. So these activities can be placed in different kind of phases of teaching learning cycle as well, and that could be very helpful in learning narratives. From the readings and workshop of week 5, I've learned so many new things, but if I choose one important thing, I would say the table in which we need to sort the words of a sentence in different categories, namely the pointer, classifier, describer, quantifier, and main noun group, because it was a very fun activity and you need to know about these things. And while we are teaching the students of year 1 and year 2, maybe reception, especially junior primary, it is a very good activity to teach them about what is pointer, what is describer, what is classifier, and what is noun group, and how you're going to put them in a sentence to make a meaningful sentence, right? For example, if there's a word like a, some, few, this can come into the category of quantifier and so. Definitely I would use this task in different kind of phases of teaching learning cycle as well. For example, if I'm doing the modeling, I would tell them how to do it by doing myself. For example, I will just use this table and use a sentence and put the words in these categories. Next, I would just do is in the joint construction phase, I will ask them what will be the word that they think will come into these categories. For example, quantifier, classifier, and pointer. So the students will reply in whatever they think, and this can be used in every stage of teaching learning cycle as well. So I find this activity pretty much important, and it can be useful in such diverse schools such as Red Creek School as well. So no matter what, where you are posted, where you are placed, you can use the activity to teach them about different kinds of verbs, noun groups, adjectives. As it is the last video of these 5 workshops, I would suggest that, and I would tell you about how my learning has been changed throughout these 5 weeks, because I learned one important thing, which is just a little bit of hook in a literacy classroom can result in such a big learning. For example, just a small visit to a creek can be useful, can be helpful in making a story about the creek creature, and how you can put some more creativity into it by adding making a book, or maybe taking some pictures and drawing some images on this book. So it can be very much helpful in certain ways. Apart from that, even just a little hook of reading a little small picture book, for example, Where the Wild Things Are, can result in such a big learning of noun groups, verbs, adjectives, and sentence formation, narrative, genre, and all those stuff. So it's not about what you are doing, it's all about how you are taking the task, how you're teaching them in a literacy classroom, because you never know how it can impact the overall learning of the students.